Hi and hello. The name's Harkheindzel. I am a development and empowerment strategist and also the spirit mentalist. I was just pondering on some of the things we've been talking about for a while now, and I just felt I needed to share a few things with you. Lately, we've been talking about the throne and gate of finance, and the idea behind that is to make people understand that life is beyond money. There's a lot more to life than having money, having possessions, having material things. I'm not saying all of that is bad. What I'm actually saying is that there is a process and there are principles that are quite expedient for us to begin to navigate and choose. And if I remember correctly, in the last session that I had, I talked about the importance of finance and the importance of currency, and that one of the things to really grow in finance is by understanding currency and learning and knowing how to activate it. I'm not really going to talk more about that this time. If you want to know more about that, part of it, throne and gate finance, you just have to listen to the previous audio. All right, this is going to be pretty short, so the intent is just to share something with you. Now, it's also on this topic of currency. And I felt that, sometimes these seems like new teachings or new things. Well, they're not mainstream, so you don't get to see them pretty much all the time. And to that end, it can be pretty overwhelming sometimes if you're getting to hear new things and you don't really know how to bring it into the practical realities of your life. However, it's important to note that there's some of the things that you may hear that you will need to what's the word to use? You will need to improve of yourself. That means that there's certain things you will need to embrace and learn and train yourself to begin to and see or experience. So it's more of jumping to a higher level of perception so they can have a better view of perspective. I mentioned something some time ago that if you really want to dominate or have dominion upon the earth, there are three things. One of these three things you must be able to feel or channel through yourself. I'm not talking about metaphysics or anything of that sort. I'm just telling you the reality of things. And it's either water, air, or some people call it wind, or fire. The moment you're able to channel or feel these things, that that makes you a prince. That means you have in yourself the possibilities and potentialities to be a prince. A prince is someone who has authority and legality and some territorial dominance. Why did I say all of this? When we were talking about currency the last time, I mentioned the waters. That's the seas and the oceans and how they move. And I also mentioned that when you take a cup of water out of the ocean, the cup of water in your hand is no longer connected to the live stream of the ocean. So there's been a disconnect. And I also said that when you save your money, that is what you do. You take it out of the live stream and you store it somewhere. And the thing is that the moment that happens, it begins to die. So it does not produce, it cannot grow, it cannot multiply. The only way to get things to grow is for them to be in an atmosphere that conditions them to be alive. And that's what you see in the seas and the ocean. There's always a state of constant motion. And I mentioned three things that princes should have, or that they should be able to feel or channel through themselves. Now, this channeling is not a physical thing, it's a thing of the soul, because the soul is the part of the human that is quite creative and imaginative. Without the soul, we may not really be able to interpret the things that we're seeing, because the soul is the place of emotion, it's the place of imaginations and thoughts and pictures. Okay, so that really helps us to make sense of the things we're getting from other dimensions and other realms. Okay, so those three things, you notice that they have a sense of life to them. I choose to call it the life stream or the life force. For example, the waters got waves, it moves, it undulates. It is not a pond. A pond is cut off from the life stream, and that's why it smells. That's why it's not clean. That's why it's dirty, and all of those things. And that's why we have microorganisms growing, algae, and all of those things. But when you have water that is constantly moving, it's alive, it's an organism, and it's when you have an organism, that's when it can grow, it can reproduce, it can become bigger and better and brighter. Now the other one is wind, or air as it were. Now air is also constantly moving and undulating, okay, and that is also another example of currency. I'm telling you this because you really need to understand. The moment you understand how currency works in the place of finances, using these examples, then you know how and the right things you're supposed to do in channeling and growing your wealth as a result. So the wind is always moving. We don't know where it comes from, we don't know where it goes, but one thing we're sure of is that it moves constantly. Now when we have wind, there's no wind if it doesn't move. It's going to be hot if the air doesn't move. It's going to be choking and suffocating. That means the life of that wind has been taken away. Now the third one, which I mentioned, is fire. Now you notice that fire as an element also moves, flickers, there is not like a rod, it's not concrete, so it moves. It is important because when we're talking about finances and currency and money, as it were, you need to know how to make it to move. And that means that it must, of necessity, be connected to a life force. It must be connected to a life stream. So for your finances, for your health, for your relationship, anything in the world that you want to have, be it material, be it relationships, even in your spiritual life, you must be connected to the life force. If you are not connected to the life force, you will not enjoy growth or productivity or reproduction as a result, because reproduction only comes from the essence of life in itself. So when life is taken away, you cannot ultimately enjoy the dividends and the benefits of reproduction. So I'm bringing it all back to thrones and gates of finance. Thrones are living entities. Gates are living entities. It is therefore imperative and important for you to learn how to engage and activate the live streams of currency. Okay, I'm going to be stopping here right now. I'm doing this in beats. Actually, these are just peaks from my exclusive sessions that I am having with a few people. I just felt that beyond the few people who are getting to know this, it's important to just put some sneak peeks out there so that you never know, someone out there could really learn and benefit from it. However, if you have questions or you need clarifications, please feel free to comment in the section below, or you can just write me and I'll see how far I can really be of assistance to you. Now, there is a reason, like I always said, why we're engaging the thrones and the gates of finance. Money is going to fail. Money always fails. Okay? And that is why it's important to learn to engage the thrones and the gates of finance. You remember, I never said the thrones and the gates of money. I said the thrones and the gates of finance. Now, finance is more of the management that creates a system and structure around resources, not just money. but resources, because in the age that we're going into, there would be a lot of disruptions, and it's for the people who understand and have activated or collided with the thrones and the gates of finance. They will be the ones who know or have the wherewithal to be able to come out of these disruptions. And the truth of the matter is, those who come out of the disruptions will be the leaders, will be the lead, will be the kings, will be the princes at that time. And I would really want you to also be a part of it, but it is not a journey for the faint-hearted. It is not a journey for the wayfaring man. It is not an easy journey, but it is a worthwhile journey. And this is where I'm going to be putting on the leads today. If you really want to get know more about it, you could just chat me up, or send me a message or a mail, and I'll try to respond accordingly. My name is Harkheindzel Kenimile. I'm the Spirit Mentalist, and thank you for listening to I Mentor with Harkheindzel. I wish above all things that you prosper and you be in health, even as your soul prospers. Have a great day.